Yo, let's talk about hyper offense. What is going on, guys? We're back here today with another one of those, team style breakdown videos. Initially, I did bulky offense, got very good reception on it. People were requesting me to do hyper offense, so I thought I should just do that next because, balance, bulky offense, it's kind of like that. Balance is on the left, offense is on like the hard right, and then in the middle, you just got that bulky offense. So I decided to do hyper offense this time. A lot of different directions to go with this video because hyper offense is actually kind of a vast play style, honestly. There's a lot of different things you can throw on that thing. A lot of Pokemon that you wouldn't normally see on most balanced or bulky offensive teams. I'm talking about stuff like Bandit, Talonflame, Breloom, Pokemon like that you don't usually really see on those more like balanced, bulkier builds, because those teams really want to rely on Pokemon that will always do their job. And obviously something like Bandit, Talonflame, and Breloom are Pokemon that, versus certain styles they really can't do much, like Stall, but as opposed to something like Clefable and Keldeo, that versus like every style they can serve some kind of purpose or give you some kind of link in your team. So yeah, we're talking about hyper offense this time. Basically what I'm going to be going over is let's just like breaking it down. I'm going to show you different types of teams of it, different like replays, I guess, showing it how it's played most of the time and that kind of thing. So first of all, I guess we can just get through a breakthrough. Let me find something for that. Okay, so it took me like forever to find examples, but let me just put up the first one. Here we have one of the more popular XY hyper offenses, which was CBB's. Truth be told, this man just jacked my team and made some changes, but whatever, it is what it is. So basically, this is one of the like more, I guess, older hyper offenses, but it was a very, very popular one, and you can definitely see elements of it today. Plus, it's always in Hita Fajita with any Pokemon over Greninja. That's why you've seen Alomomola. Anyway, if we go through a breakdown, he has his lead, which is Garchomp. He has two speed factors, being Scarflander's T, which also works as a glue. That way, faster Pokemon, like any like speed boosting Pokemon won't mess with them later on, and it also just helps them in general if something like Stray gets out of hand. So having Scarflanders is a really, really nice glue. Pack that with Intimidate as well, makes it a soft check to stuff like Excadrill. It's just a really, really nice thing for him to have. He has two setup sweepers, being Scizor and Bisharp. Of course, these two are both not going to sweep, but one of them can definitely break for the other. So say he's playing someone's team and they just have Keldeo as their Dark Resist. So CBB is going to be smart enough to set up his Scizor, get off that +2 BP, shave off 40%, hit it with a Bug Bite superpower on the switch, something like that, and then the next time his Bisharp SD, that Keldeo is at 60, it's just going to die. So it's that kind of thing. He has Latios, which works as the much needed water resist for a team like this, but it also has very good coverage. With HP Fire and Draco and Psyshock, he's able to cover a lot of the meta and that kind of thing. And then Greninja, busted, just incredibly strong Pokemon that he could just, smash opposing balance and offense with. So that's one example. Moving on from that, we have this team, which is actually a pretty popular team nowadays. This team was created by Wally, the Bully on Smogon. Cool guy, very good player. He made this team. And it's been around for quite a while, actually. This team has been, probably almost 2 years. But it is a solid build. It's about one of the more bulkier hyper offenses, but this is not bulky offense at all. This is legit hyper offense. This is a good team. Definitely requires some really nice playing. If you mess up, then you're going to be in trouble. This team is capable of taking on Stall as well with Life Orb Thundurus, because Focus Blast is able to 2-hit KO Chansey at +2, and it 2-hit KOs Quagsire. Manaphy is also able to get +6, lure and kill Chansey, and he has Latias Healing Wish. Problems with it are it is a little bit weak to Weavile. As you can see, Weavile just kind of messes with it, but it is a good team, and one of the nicer hyper offensive builds that I actually like. The only problem with this team is you definitely have to play perfectly or you're screwed. Okay, so another team here, as you guys can see, is Cosine hyper offense. Let me hold on. Oh, I said here we have it, but it didn't actually open up on my. Hold on. Okay, hold on. We'll be right back. Technical difficulties. It happens. It does. Okay, I thought I had the pick, but I can't find it anymore. We'll be right back. Oh, 1 second. All right, here we go. Anyway, this team was another. Oh, that should be Life Orb Starmie, but whatever. This team was another pretty popular hyper offense back in the, I'd say, mid stages of 2015. Really good team. Destroyed by Stall, but that is to be expected with hyper offense. But again, as you guys can see, he has the lead, has some breakers, and Breloom, Bisharp, Talonflame, Diancie works as a glue, Starmie has a little bit of support. So yeah, this team was really, really good versus opposing offense, and also could definitely smash a lot of balances thanks to Bisharp, Talon lures in, Heatran, Landorus breaks those things down. Breloom just to take out a Pokemon, get off a heavy focus punch and that kind of thing. Then the final team I will show is this, which is basically Bird Spam. That Extra Shine did not make. CTC made it. Extra Shine put a Dragonite over like Raikou and then said, bot my team. But he's pretty funny about it. But anyway, this is, it's Bird Spam. You got the birds, I guess. Pinsir and Talon are two extremely difficult Pokemon to deal with. Really, really good team. I mean, it's just extremely hard to deal with, honestly, because Manaphy is in the back as well. So like your physical wall, if they double it on Manaphy, the Manaphy pretty much always gets one kill guaranteed. This team is a good team. Yeah, this is one of the better hyper offenses of the generation. So with that, you have some examples. Let's break it down even. Okay, so when we break down hyper offense and we talk about how it differentiates from the other play styles, what you need to understand is that hyper offense will usually end in very, very fast games when it plays opposing hyper offense, and it will come down to some 50-50s and some prediction. Hyper offense is also not a style where you're trying to preserve every Pokemon. This is not bulky offense where you need to think. Actually no, bulky offense is actually, you don't have to think as much with bulky offense as you do hyper offense. Hyper offense, you do need to think a number of turns ahead, because your Pokemon are going to be dying like that because they're definitely more frailer. If you're playing the offense versus offense matchup, shit's going to die every turn. Or every other turn. Bulky offense, you can kind of afford to not, because you have pivots like Tangrowth, Tornadus, Clefable, that kind of thing. But anyway, with this, pretty much the goal of hyper offense is you need to constantly pressure the opponent until their team has just been weakened to a point where one of your like sweepers or scarfers in the back can sweep. I mean, hyper offense isn't that hard of a play style to use. Basically, what I would stress is you're gonna have your designated like rocker, usually Suicide, so Sash Chomp, Sash Explosion. Lando has been catching popularity recently, and that thing is really, really good. So you have one of those, you want to get up your rockers, and you pretty much just want to hit stuff hard. And one of the biggest aspects of offense is keeping that momentum. You guys have seen it whenever I use hyper offense and I'm playing stall or something. I always go for the play that gives momentum. I'm always clicking that U-turn. I'm always predicting blah blah blah, because you need to keep momentum versus teams. If you're giving up momentum versus these slower, fatter teams, you're going to lose. And most of the time they're threatened by your guys, but they know they can wait it out because they have bulkier Pokemon. So if you ever just you let up the pressure or whatever, and they're able to take advantage of that, now you're definitely screwed, because this team already has a good matchup versus you, and you gave up any momentum, and now they can just like pretty much swallow you whole. So a definite big part of hyper offense is always keeping up the momentum. I think I'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, let's just break it down like by the team. So basically you have a lead of choice. Yeah, basically you have a lead. So the lead's basically gonna be a rocker. What most people like to use is Garchomp, Azelf, and Landorus T. There are other leads that you can use. I guess Spikers, Suicide Scarm, Scolipede, but honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Suicide Spikes. There's a lot of spinners as of late in Starmie and Drill, and Defog is everywhere and that kind of thing. But yeah, usually you're gonna see Garchomp and Landorus and Azelf, that kind of thing. Because they are good at getting up rocks. You slap a Sash on all three of them, they're very effective at getting up rocks. Not to mention that Garchomp and Landorus are two extremely strong Pokemon that can basically threaten out everything with SD. So I mean, yeah. So then you're gonna have basically next on hyper offense is hyper offense does have the problem of, see, if you just put a bunch of sweepers on hyper offense, you're gonna lose a lot of them trying to break walls. If your whole team is like DD Dragonite, SD Bisharp, blah blah blah, all those dudes are gonna lose to like Hippowdon. You need a wall breaker. So basically, when people think of wall breakers, you're going to want stuff like Specs Keldeo. In the past, Hoopa was crazy on hyper offense. Kyurem Black, you can put that thing on, smash things. Life Orb Tornadus, that thing is very, very good at just breaking through stuff. Gengar is something I've seen in the past, because Life Orb is able to pretty much shred through coverage. Mega Heracross, incredible Pokemon run hyper offense for breaking stuff. Diggersby, Mega Gardevoir, Charizards, stuff with really, really high power. Medicham. That's what you want to use as your wall breakers on hyper offense. Don't be using stuff like Life Orb Latios, because that's not a wall breaker. Alright, that thing is walled. You need something that's breaking those walls. So you're going to want to go for Pokemon like, Kyurem, and you're like Mega Medicham, Keldeo, Zard, that kind of thing. Those kinds of things are going to be really, really important for hyper offensive teams, because they're able to break through all the bulkier Pokemon that pretty much stop the style to an extent. From there, you're basically going to have your next set. So you have your lead and you have your wall breaker. Usually people run 1 to like 1.5-ish wall breakers. I say 1.5-ish because like there are certain Pokemon that double as wall breakers but can also like sweep or like work as like cleaners, which is kind of like Keldeo in some sense, but Anyway, you're gonna have sweepers then, and usually there's like 2 sweepers. You don't want to put all your effort into 1 sweeper because if it has bad matchup, then what are you gonna do? So usually most hyper offenses always have 2 sweepers. Usually what I see is either Talonflame is really, really big. Manaphy is very, very nice because it has some kind of bulk to it, so it's able to definitely help versus the more balanced teams, because the very few teams, because like usually when you see like an offensive Pokemon, you're like, okay, my Specs Keldeo, my Life Orb Latios can just kill it. Manaphy's different though. Manaphy has enough bulk to be able to take a hit like that. And people like to run Wakanberry Manaphy too, which is really, really good because it can't be killed by electric type moves, and at that point Manaphy can basically take like any hit in the game, and basically it will get its kill at +3. So Manaphy is a very, very potent sweeper. In the past I've seen stuff like Slackberry, which that thing is a menace as well. I'm not a huge fan of that set. I don't like giving up coverage with Manaphy, but I'm just giving examples. Superior is something I've seen in the past that's done very, very well on hyper offense. It forces a lot of switches, so if rocks are up, that's good. You get up Leech Seeds, you're pretty much whittling down your team for your cleaner to sweep and that kind of thing. Talonflame, like I said, that's been a staple on hyper offense since pretty much Gen 6 came out. Priority, SD, Roost, it's just very, very nice. Other things, I mean, yeah, you have your Pinsir, your Dragonite, like Extra Shine made use of course. Bisharp, one of the best sweepers in general. Bisharp is just an incredible Pokemon, but I mean, it's not, I don't know, it's slept on a little bit in tournaments, but yeah, like I said, on ladder, I mean, what's not to love? Priority, Dark isn't resisted by anything, knockoff, like, it's incredible. Even SD offensive Scissor is something I'm very, very, very like passionate about using on hyper offense because it has a good speed stat. It can lure in Rotom at +2 and just straight up OHKO it. It's bulky enough, to take a lot of hits from physical attackers and that kind of thing, and it's just so strong. And then basically what you're going to have finally is a glue. So basically what your glue is, it's going to be basically your revenge killer, your late game cleaner, something like Scarf Keldeo, something like Mega Lopunny, if you need something revenge killed really quick, fake a quick attack return, that kind of thing. Lopunny can take stuff out. Scarf Landorus is very, very common, or Scarf Jirachi, or like Scarf Garchomp. Those kind of Scarfers are very, very common for hyper offense to deal with, for hyper offense to use to take on threats that get out of hand. And yeah, basically it's just like a high speed stat Pokemon you're gonna use as your cleaner. Basically, for cleaners, I don't really advise using things like, I don't know, just random fast Pokemon like Alakazam, because I mean, if something sits up, Alakazam is A, not the bulkiest, and B, it's not the fastest. But like Lopunny on the other hand is different because it has Fake Out and Quick Attack priority. It's really, really strong. It has necessary bulk. It has really, really good typing. Landorus, again, because of Intimidate, it becomes a lot bulkier than it really is. Scarf is just really, really good set in general for dealing with that kind of thing. So basically, that's how you want to break it down by the roles, and we can just move on from that. Okay, I kind of thought about what to say next in this video, but I think this video actually won't be as long as the bulky offense video, just because that's kind of like a broader range of like style to use as opposed to hyper offense. But one thing I want to stress is when playing hyper offense, you cannot play timidly. Like, this style, it's hyper offense. You need to play hyper in a sense, I guess. Basically, you need to keep making plays. You need to keep the momentum on your side. If you're playing this team like a balanced team, if you're getting predicted when playing hyper offense, switch your team to balance, because you're not going to win with hyper offense. You need to not let up pressure on your opponent. You need to continuously make moves to beat your opponent and continuously keep up the pressure. That's just like the biggest thing to stress, honestly. Hyper offense, it's one of those styles that if you start getting predicted, you're going to be losing Pokemon like that, because again, using very, very strong Pokemon that die very, very quickly, and if you're getting predicted, well, you don't really have Pokemon to switch into attacks, right? You're using hyper offense, all your dudes are strong, like savages that can't really switch into attacks. Like, bulkiest mon on hyper offense is usually stuff like Latios, and even that thing is not that bulky. So really the biggest thing you need to stress in hyper offense is never letting up the pressure. I can probably find a replay example. Let me find one. Hold on. So I'm actually coming back after a while to do this video, but I think last time I was talking about this video, when I was recording it, I said I was gonna go find a replay to show off some kind of like how to play hyper offense. So I figured this would be a pretty good example. So this was Soul Gazer versus TDK for, I believe, OST round 3 or 4. Anyways, as you can see, TDK is running a pretty bulky offensive team that's based around pretty much getting in Hoopa and Terrakion as many times as he can. And then he has Tornadus as Landorus as blue Pokemon, Venusaur, good much needed water resist. All in all, like a pretty solidly built team. Soul Gazer is just using like hyper offense. Life Orb, Tornadus, Diancie, Choice Banded, Scizor, Chomp, Rock Set, Life Orb, and then I think Life Orb on this too. So as you can see, Soul Gazer, while he is weak to a lot, like Scarf, Terrak, and like Torn are like threats on paper, and Venusaur also kind of is like a threat on paper. He has the tools to definitely out pressure TDK's team and pretty much make moves through that. So just watch over the battle. You can see how he basically plays the matchup into his own hands and doesn't really let momentum fly. So leads off with Torn versus Torn. Straight off the bat goes into Diancie because he doesn't want to get rid of his life orb, alright? Because he doesn't need to risk that. Straight off the bat, TDK is going to go into Venusaur, as I believe Soulgazer just hits him up with a Diamond Storm. Does 50%, forcing the recover straight up. And I think he actually Diamond Storms again. I don't even know why, but I guess he just wanted to see the damage. But it does a ton, as you can see. And he keeps doing SG is out of his mind. But he's going for the pressure because he knows if he can kill the Venusaur, then what's taking an Aqua Jet? Nothing. Boom. Gets the Giga Drain. Like now he has the opportunity to pretty much get off any hit he really wants to. So TDK is going to go into this on his... He's going to go into Tran on the Torn, but obviously that takes way too much to be considered a viable switch in. He's going to go into his Latios here as TDK makes the double into his Torn. Now SG is going to go into his Garchomp on the U-turn, make that thing take a little bit of chip damage. It doesn't really want Diancie taking too many hits because, as you can see, TDK's Rock Resist Venusaur takes like 35 to 40 from Diamond Storm. He shouldn't let that thing go down. So he gets up the rocks there. I should put this on normal. Goes into Tornadus T here as TDK goes for the Earthquake because he doesn't want to, go for the U-turn. And SG reveals the HPIs here, knocks out the Landers, and that's fantastic for him because that's one of the, physical walls just down. So TDK is going to go into Torn here, as I believe SG tries to sack his Garchomp. No, he goes into Diancie, actually, damn. I think this guy goes for U-turn, yeah. And at this point, TDK has like a number of switch-ins, but I think he's just going to have to go into his Venusaur because it scares everything out, and it has the possible Sludge Bomb. SG is just too wild. Goes into the Scizor, expecting him to go for the Sludge Bomb and or Giga Drain. TDK goes for the U-turn here, I think expecting a faster Scizor, but he's able to get off the slow banded U-turn. Again, he doesn't truly need that thing. Like, it's nice, but he doesn't like... as opposed to his other Pokemon, this one's more important. He's actually going to make the double into his Latios here on the Heatran, I think. To pretty much... I think he has Earthquake, so this was a really good play for him to make the double so he could get it off and basically just like put his opponent... lure his opponent into thinking, like, SG said fuck there, like as if he was like luring his opponent or whatever, but whatever. That was a good play on his part, making the double to lure in the Tran, because normally Latios, at least at this time, they didn't run Surf, so yeah. He goes into Garchomp here, basically to sack it to Hurricane as TDK misses, and then TDK actually misses again. I mean, it sucks, but it was a sack. Like, he doesn't need Garchomp at all. And at this point, he was going to get swept by, like, Scizor. So, he goes into Terrac there. He just goes for the CC there. It does actually a decent amount. I think that might be Life Orb damage. Or it could be Banded. Oh, it is Life Orb, yeah. As SG is just going to EQ, knock that boy out. And then, I think TDK goes back into Tornadus to hit the Hurricane. I think he actually gets a hit this time. No, he misses again. Yeah, because SG's Garchomp has just never, like, not dodged the move, I guess. He goes into Venusaur there. Well, this is a free synthesis for him. So SG is just going to go for Earthquake. So, I guess what I'm trying to make up... it was really hard finding a replay for this. And I know this replay obviously isn't the most excellent example. But basically what I'm trying to show you is you need to play offensively and you need to just keep applying the pressure. SG wasn't going to his quote-unquote counters on every single Pokemon. Every time Heatran came in, he wasn't going into like his counter. Every time, like... he wasn't going into Pokemon that could wall the coverage. He was getting off those heavy hits to break through walls. He stayed in on the on the Venusaur 3 times in a row, Diamond Storming. Yes, Venusaur quote-unquote counters Diancie, but if he knocks out that specific Pokemon, then his other Pokemon can do really well if he gets rid of Venusaur. So that's basically the point in this. And so yep, then he switches on to Cardon. Well, he went to Cardon here just to flex because he's a flexer. But yeah, basically that's what you need to understand. Play offensively, play aggressively, play the opponent down, just like make sure that they cannot get any momentum whatsoever in the entirety of the game. That's the number one thing to pretty much keep in mind. But yep, with that, let's just move on. So basically, to sum up this video, we went over what hyper offense is, notable hyper offense teams, examples of those with Wally the Bully's team, the Cosine hyper offense, and CBB's hyper offense. We went over how to play. Basically, you really want to be aggressively. That's the number one thing I have to stress. If there's one thing you get out of this video, like even like team building wise, it's not that important. It's very easy to build hyper offense or just like steal something from the ladder. But the number one thing you need to get out of this video is you need to play aggressively. So it's kind of like, I find myself having a lot of overlaps like with the video I made, which was like how to deal with stall on the ladder. And I was saying play aggressively and play these kind of strategies, getting your opponent's mental. Hyper offense has a lot of those characteristics as well. Obviously, I mean, hyper offense versus stall is like shit. Like it's one of the most impossible matchups, but I'm not talking about stall. when you're using hyper offense, every turn needs to be calculated. You can't just be throwing out random stuff and just assume hoping it'll work, because like there are Pokemon out there that are like really fat or like really fast, or just like stuff in general that annoys hyper offense. I'm talking like Hippo, for example. It annoys hyper offense. It walls a lot of Pokemon. Talonflame, it annoys hyper offense. It's faster than everybody and it can hit them hard. Will-O-Wisp, most hyper offense teams don't have burn switches unless they have like Diancie or something. You really need to play calculated when you're using hyper offense. You need to be smart about it. You need to play offensively. You can't be like switching between your walls and trying to keep all your Pokemon, because you're supposed to be letting Pokemon drop and hyper offense. A lot of times it'll become a kill for kill situation if you need to let something die just to get in another thing. And then we went over, kind of how to build it, I guess, with the lead, wall breakers, sweepers, and glue portion. I think that's pretty important as well, just to give you a little like mentality of what you want to build. I know the gen doesn't have too much longer. I mean, ORAS will be done in like less than a month, but just for the sake of it, if you do ever want to build a team, that is a good formula to go by. So with that, I think we're only at like 20-ish minutes, but I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments below what else you want to see for a competitive analysis type video, anything, not just team archetype video. But yep, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Later guys, I'm out.